Science is the poetry of reality. The less you think, the more you believe. Faith is belief without evidence and reason. Coincidentally, that's also the definition of delusion. Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose. Do not indoctrinate your children. Teach them how to think for themselves, how to evaluate evidence, and how to disagree with you. Religion ends and philosophy begins, just as alchemy ends and chemistry begins, and astrology ends and astronomy begins. Today the theory of evolution is about as much open to doubt as the theory that the Earth goes round the sun. I am not advocating a morality based on evolution. I am saying how things have evolved. I am not saying how we humans morally ought to behave. We are survival machines, robot vehicles blindly programmed to preserve the selfish molecules known as genes. This is a truth which still fills me with astonishment. Any altruistic system is inherently unstable, because it is open to abuse by selfish individuals, ready to exploit it. Evolution has no long-term goal. There is no long-distance target, no final perfection to serve as a criterion for selection. Although human vanity cherishes the absurd notion that our species is the final goal of evolution, nature, red in tooth and claw. I've always been antagonistic to any naive application of the selfish gene theory to politics. Some people have attempted to suggest that it means we are selfish or we should be selfish. Let us try to teach generosity and altruism, because we are born selfish. Let us understand what our own selfish genes are up to, because we may then at least have the chance to upset their designs. Something that no other species has ever aspired to do. Was there to be any end to the gradual improvement in the techniques and artifices used by the replicators to ensure their own continuation in the world? There would be plenty of time for improvement. What weird engines of self-preservation would the millennia bring forth? 4,000 million years on, what was to be the fate of the ancient replicators? They did not die out, for they are past masters of the survival arts. But do not look for them floating loose in the sea. They gave up that cavalier freedom long ago. Now they swarm in huge colonies, safe inside gigantic lumbering robots, sealed off from the outside world, communicating with it by tortuous indirect routes, manipulating it by remote control. They are in you and in me. They created us, body and mind, and their preservation is the ultimate rationale for our existence. They have come a long way, those replicators. Now they go by the name of genes. And we are their survival machines. Just as blueprints don't necessarily specify blue buildings, selfish genes don't necessarily specify selfish organisms. As we shall see, sometimes the most selfish thing a gene can do is build a selfless brain. Genes are a play within a play, not the interior monologue of the players. We have the power to defy the selfish genes of our birth and, if necessary, the selfish memes of our indoctrination. We can even discuss ways of deliberately cultivating and nurturing pure, disinterested altruism, something that has no place in nature, something that has never existed before in the whole history of the world. We are built as gene machines and cultured as meme machines. But we have the power to turn against our creators. We, alone on Earth, can rebel against the tyranny of the selfish replicators. Natural selection, the blind, unconscious, automatic process which Darwin discovered, and which we now know is the explanation for the existence and apparently purposeful form of all life, has no purpose in mind. It has no mind and no mind's eye. It does not plan for the future. It has no vision, no foresight, no sight at all. If it can be said to play the role of watchmaker in nature, it is the blind watchmaker. When you plant a fertile meme in my mind, you literally parasitize my brain, turning it into a vehicle for the meme's propagation in just the way that a virus may parasitize the genetic mechanism of a host cell. A gene might be able to assist replicas of itself that are sitting in other bodies. If so, this would appear as individual altruism, but it would be brought about by gene selfishness. People who criticize the selfish gene like that often haven't read it. The selfish gene accounts for altruism toward kin and individuals who might be in a position to reciprocate your altruism. Faith is powerful enough to immunize people against all appeals to pity, to forgiveness, to decent human feelings. It even immunizes them against fear. If they honestly believe that a martyr's death will send them straight to heaven. The total amount of suffering per year in the natural world is beyond all decent contemplation. During the minute that it takes me to compose this sentence, thousands of animals are being eaten alive. Many others are running for their lives, whimpering with fear. Others are slowly being devoured from within by rasping parasites. Thousands of all kinds are dying of starvation, thirst, and disease. It must be so. If there ever is a time of plenty, this very fact will automatically lead to an increase in the population until the natural state of starvation and misery is restored. In a universe of electrons and selfish genes, blind physical forces and genetic replication, some people are going to get hurt, other people are going to get lucky. And you won't find any rhyme or reason in it, nor any justice. What you cannot have is a gene that sacrifices itself for the benefit of other genes. What you can have is a gene that makes organisms sacrifice themselves for other organisms under the influence of selfish genes. The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction, jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully. You can make some inferences about a man's character if you know something about the conditions in which he has survived and prospered. An atheist before Darwin could have said, following Hume, "I have no explanation for complex biological design. All I know is that God isn't a good explanation, so we must wait and hope that somebody comes up with a better one." I can't help feeling that such a position, though logically sound, would have left one feeling pretty unsatisfied, and that although atheism might have been logically tenable before Darwin, Darwin made it possible to be an intellectually fulfilled atheist. I think we all have a selfish gene which rises to the top, sometimes. But then we're also all capable of a sudden magnanimity. Much as we might wish to believe otherwise, universal love and the welfare of the species as a whole are concepts which simply do not make evolutionary sense. Although atheism might have been logically tenable before Darwin, Darwin made it possible to be an intellectually fulfilled atheist. Intelligent life on a planet comes of age when it first works out the reason for its own existence. The meme for blind faith secures its own perpetuation by the simple unconscious expedient of discouraging rational inquiry. Whenever conditions arise in which a new kind of replicator can make copies of itself, the new replicators will tend to take over, and start a new kind of evolution of their own. Once this new evolution begins, it will in no necessary sense be subservient to the old. I am an enthusiastic Darwinian, but I think Darwinism is too big a theory to be confined to the narrow context of the gene. Mutation is random. Natural selection is the very opposite of random. Leaders who forbid their followers to use effective contraceptive methods express a preference for natural methods of population limitation. And a natural method is exactly what they are going to get. It is called starvation. God exists, if only in the form of a meme with high survival value, or infective power. In the environment provided by human culture. I have no explanation for complex biological design. All I know is that God isn't a good explanation. So we must wait and hope that somebody comes up with a better one.